think we're live, aren't we?
Just about. Yeah. It looks like it's loading still, and we are officially live. Yay. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We'll give it a couple seconds to fully load here. Raj, I'm so excited to be hanging out with you today.
Likewise. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm excited about talking to you today, Ashley.
I know. Happy mid-October. That's weird.
It is weird.
Q4, here we are. Well, welcome everybody to the Coaching to Flourish podcast. We're really excited to be here today. I am so giddy to be in this space right now. Usually I'm on the back end and I get to listen to these lives, and now I get the honor to be sitting next to Raj and doing this with you today while John is out. And I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie, being on this live. But I'm also really thrilled and excited to hopefully be able to connect with some of you coaches after this and be able to dive more into some of these topics. And Raj, if you want to give a little bit of your background and who you are.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I know some of you. I might know most of you. I might have been a trainer or an assessor for you. I'm Raj Anderson. I'm one of the trainers and assessors at Training EDU, and I also have my own coaching business. I've been in people-centered services for over 22 years. I'm excited to be here with Ashley today. We'll be missing John, but he'll be back soon. And I just want to thank you, Ashley, for being immediately courageous and open and vulnerable. I think we have to recognize that we all get nervous when we do these kinds of things. I still do. I was talking to somebody about that earlier, but it's because I care.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for that. So good. But that is true. You know, there is something to that nervousness and kind of questioning, like, what is that? And how do I use that for something positive? And I do think that's the thing. It's because you care. I still get nervous going into coaching sessions just because I want to show up as my best self in that space. And so I love that, Raj. That's really great. Well, we have some questions today. So every week we're bringing 3 questions to this live here today. And we want to touch on all of these. We are using questions that we've gotten from coaches in the community, as well as any questions that are coming in on the question box on social media. So if you all have any questions for John and Raj, please head to our inbox on social media, or even you can email support@coachtrainingedu.com and let us know your questions, because we want it this time to be a space where we're answering all of those. And so we have a couple of them today. And the first one that we're going to dive into is, what would you say is the most important part of a coaching session?
Do you want me to start with this one, Ashley?
Yeah, go for it. This is such a good question.
So most important part of a coaching session. So if you are a coach, you've been a coach in training with Training EDU, you will hear us talk about that very important use of the time model. I'll refer to that in a minute. So for me, I would say it's setting the agenda. So setting the agenda in a coaching session, it's what allows you to add that framework to the session. So you're creating a framework right at the beginning. You are partnering with your coachee, with your client. I mean, I remember this I do a lot of consulting. I'm a trainer, I'm a mentor as well. We're always looking at how do we really set the stage at the beginning of a session. So setting the agenda, and if any of you know me and you've had assessments with me and we've chatted through this, think about how if you don't set an agenda, it's like you don't have a direction to go. The agenda setting piece is like your compass. One of our trainers, Andrew, talks about it being your navigation system. And if you don't have that agenda, you get lost. You don't really, the client doesn't know, the coachee hasn't had an opportunity to really think about what they want to get out of that session. And then for me, I'm going to go a step further, Ashley. I'm being a bit cheeky here, but the most important part of coaching as a whole in terms of the relationship is that designing the alliance. So for me, that is a pivotal piece of any partnership, any relationship that you have as a coach. And sometimes it's easy to shortcut that bit or do it too fast, or we might even forget to revisit it. But Ashley, you're a coach as well. What do you think about what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And the Design the Alliance, I think, can get overlooked really easily, because if we've had some kind of connection with a client previously or a potential client, we might think, oh, we already know. We know how to meet this client where they're at. But throw aside the assumptions, because I've been so surprised by some of my Design the Alliance calls with potential clients. And I might have some background on them. Maybe we've talked before about jumping into a coach-client relationship or whatnot. And I think I'm always a little bit blown away, like, okay, that is something that I would have never guessed, or that is going to be incredibly helpful for our relationship, to make sure that I'm meeting you in this space to help you thrive in the best way possible. And you really miss that if you don't get to do that. And I would even encourage coaches, if you're coaching with another coach within the community or outside of our community, especially as a coach, for some reason, it's so easy for us to skip Design the Alliance, even in that situation. And I would encourage you to definitely do that with another coach as well. Even if you all know the lingo, you know the questions, it's really important to meet each coach and each client where they're at when you jump into a coaching session. So I agree with you, Raj. I think that's an excellent point. I would say that's really important.
What do you think, Ashley, is the impact if a Design the Alliance is missed or perhaps not done that robustly?
Yeah, I think there's a lot you can miss. I think, how you show up for a client might differ from one client to the next. So, when you've coached me, you've asked some just really awesome questions that like hit me to my core, and okay, I'm gonna respond to a little bit of a, what did you call it when we had that coaching session?
I'm trying to remember now. Was this in the Design the Alliance bit? Or was
no, this wasn't, but this was when we were in a coaching session after we'd done the Design the Alliance and everything. But I had told you in the Design the Alliance, like, I like it straight, bring it to me. Let's get right to it. I love the directness, and I love like questions that are going to really challenge me or make me think. And you had given me a word in one of our coaching sessions that I was like, oh, I don't know. But then it got me on this whole thing where I just was able to dive deeper. And I was thinking, it just made me think of that. Like, if we wouldn't have had that conversation, maybe that's still how it would have rolled in the coaching session. But you knew me in a way that it like hit me to a core, where that question, if I ask that to one of my clients who I know it's harder for them to meet that space, it might shut them down, as opposed to bring something out of them. So that's kind of what I was thinking of. You missed the opportunity to really walk alongside. And I think that's the biggest thing in a coaching session. We're not leading from above or the experts or anything. So to get to know them in the Design the Alliance allows you to partner more effectively. What about you? What would you say?
Yeah, you got me thinking around, like, one of the questions I do ask now in a Design the Alliance, and it might have been that, is I'll also ask, clients, coaches that I'm working with, what are your no-nos in a session? Like, what would you not like in a session? I've also incorporate some diversity and inclusion questions as well as part of the Design the Alliance. And we recently did an inclusion coaching program, and it's to really think about, where do you want to include those? Would they be in an intake form? And one of the things I like to do in that conversation, because we have to remember the Design the Alliance is one of the times when you are conversational, because you're not in coach mode yet, but you will be asking coaching questions, won't you? I like to check in on, how do you like to be referred to? Or, even checking in, am I saying your name correctly? What is important to you? Are there any diversity facets that I should be aware of? Often faith comes up. Sometimes I'm working with people, spirituality might come up. I work with people blessed all over the world. So sometimes there are cultural differences in how somebody might want to use strong language. Of course, we're not submitting those recordings to the ICF. But somebody might say, well, sometimes I drop an F-bomb, or I'm okay with using this, and really creating that partnership in terms of sharing each other's worldviews. And part of my brand for me is I don't have a problem with any of that, but it helps me to ebb and flow with where the person is at. It might be that we are bringing in those faith elements. It might be that they've shared something that's really important to them about background or sexuality or sexual orientation, or how they would like to be known, or what they're stepping into. So those are just some of the things really to help get deeper into that deeper level bit. I also, in Design the Alliance, especially with people who haven't worked with a coach before, is walk my coachees through what a coaching session is going to look like, so that they're prepared. Like every time we meet Ashley, I'll say, we will check in on how you got on with actions, and we're going to set an agenda together. So to get the best out of our time, please think about what you would like to focus on when you come to the session. And I could go on, but I won't.
No, it's so good. Excellent points. One question that I have that I've heard coaches ask before is, and I know you kind of mentioned this, do you coach during the Design the Alliance? If not, how do you transition into that? How long is your Design the Alliance typically?
Yeah, it's a great question. The way I do it, and there's no right or wrong here, but this is just what I found has worked really well, is new client, say we have an hour together in the first session, I split it. So I will do 30 minutes on Design the Alliance and then 30 minutes on coaching. And I will say that straight up, very open and very transparent. Okay, first session, we've got an hour together, and we'll use the first part of it, if it sounds good to you, to design our alliance. And then the second part, let's do some coaching. And I actually say that as well when we're coming to the end of the Design the Alliance, because as I say, I get an intake form that comes in from the client. We might have questions that are popped up from there. I invite the coachee to set goals as part of that. So we'll explore that, walk them through a coaching session. I talk about holding space and pause. And don't think I'm weird if it's quiet. If I'm quiet, it's part of the coaching process. We go into why direct communication. So, asking them, how would you like me to challenge you? How would you like me to use direct communication? But I also explain a bit, it's an important part of the coaching process, because I am here to support you to see those blocks, see those things that are getting in your way. And then once it's kind of worked out naturally coming to an end, I give them an opportunity to ask me questions, because that's generally the only time, if they're curious about me or my brand or what I'm bringing. And then once we wrap that up, I'll say, okay, are you ready? Should we transition into a coaching session? Everyone's clear what's happening and when. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so good. Okay, I'm going to move us to the next question, because I think we could talk about this for a really long time.
Yeah.
That's how important Design the Alliance is, coaches. It's taking up all of our time today. Okay, how should I price my coaching packages?
Yeah, we get this question a lot, don't we?
This is such a good question.
All the time. So I might have some more questions for you rather than answers, but anyone who's listening and thinking about how to price their coaching packages, one question for you to think about, I think it's an interesting one, is what would you pay? What would you pay yourself for a coaching session? And even if your target audience is potentially people that are different from you, I think it's really important for us to think about this, because we want to get into an abundance mindset, don't we? And putting out there what we want to attract. And I think that helps you to give some answers around, if you're not willing to pay $350 an hour, and I'm not saying that's what you should be pricing your coaching session at, but if you're pricing your own packages, but you wouldn't be prepared to pay that, what makes a difference in why your clients would be willing to pay that? So I think that self-discovery piece and exploring that is really important. The other thing is to not get overwhelmed by the vast array of information that you might receive and what you're going to hear out there. You might already be doing some market research. Ashley and I will talk about that in a minute. Yet there are loads of programs out there, and some of them are great, but where there will be business coaches that are going to help you to brand and put your packages together. And there might be prices that are causing you some discomfort. And I know Ashley's probably got some things to say around that, but I've been there and done that. I've priced my programs at all different kinds of prices and price points. And I think for you to think about, I've got a quick formula for you to think about as well. So I'll get to the formula in a minute, but like, who is your clientele? One of the things that I like to look at is affordability. And affordability doesn't mean being cheap. My motto with my coaching practice is I like to make my coaching affordable as part of somebody's lifestyle. You know, actually, I am blessed. I work with a lot of execs and I work with corporations. So what I might charge a corporation is different to what I'm going to charge a client, because they do have a bigger budget and they have, you know, kinds of different parameters around the coaching. And also I'm showing up very differently when I'm going in as a coach into an organization. That's independently when I'm contracting. But if you're thinking with working with an individual, as I said, one of the formulas for me is to make my vision and purpose is to make coaching accessible to all. And for me, it's really important that affordability is part of that. So, and I do a lot of work with women in leadership. And when we talk about it, they have coaching subscriptions with me that it's no different to what they might pay for their hair or nails or self-care treatment. Mm-hmm. So that's how I like to think about pricing my coaching, because I want to make it accessible and I don't want to outprice people out of being able to have coaching, because I believe in coaching that much. I also have subscriptions that are run. And then a quick formula to think about and see if this works for you is, what do you want to make in a year? See, like an ideal amount, I don't know, I would love to make $100,000 a year. Okay, we'll divide that by 12. What is that? And those are your months, divide it by your weeks, like how many weeks, divide it by the days, 5 days, divide it approximately by 8 hours. I don't know, what does that work out to be? Approximately $60 an hour. I know as a coach, you're not potentially going to be working 8 hours a day coaching. So maybe you can top that up with a bit of a premium, because you are paying for your own healthcare and your own business admin and systems and things. But that was just a quick formula I wanted to throw out at people. It gives you an hourly rate.
Yeah, I think it's
What are your thoughts, Ashley?
Well, I have a question for you. What was one of the biggest lessons that you learned when you were first starting your coaching business in relation to your pricing structure and how you did that?
Don't listen to all of the noise out there. Don't get sucked into keeping your coaching prices reasonable, as I said, means that you are cheap or that you are not being valuable or you're not applying your own value. So I learned a lot. I work, you know, this is when I first moved to States and I worked with a business coach. I have charged $500 an hour for a coaching session. It's not sustainable. It wasn't for me. If it is for other people, that's wonderful. But I just want to share kind of my experience. Mm-hmm. You are having to put so much work in then, if you are looking for clients yourself, to market and get a client at that price point. And if I'm telling you, if I'm paying that much an hour, you want a premium, different kind of service. And I think that puts pressure on coaches to pull them out of true coaching as well, because then there's all kinds of expectations. So I did that for a while. It was great. You know, I sold programs at $1,000. I got clients. It just didn't feel good to me. It didn't feel right in my gut. And it was a lot of hard work marketing your services as an individual at that rate. One of the things I have learned, and I've said this before, if everyone else is zigging, you got to zag. So I'm like, if this is happening here, what do I really want to look like? And what do I want to offer people? And truth known, when I not even halved, I quartered my prices, everything just went up. And, you know, coaching doesn't have to be long term, of course, but I have clients that want to work with me every 2 weeks and have worked with me for a long time, or they want 30-minute session every week, and we call them their emotional fitness session, and they're good with that because it is within their price range. And I'd personally rather keep my prices, as say, more affordable, because I always get clients coming in. They don't feel that they're outpriced.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Thank you, Raj, for sharing that. It makes me think too, and we'll, like you mentioned, we'll dive into this, just that market analysis and research on a specific niche, because that's going to be really important as well to meet the clientele that you want to work with in the space that they're in. And for example, $300 a session for working with the clients that I work with would be really difficult. And so that, and also it makes me think about taking a step back even more and understanding your why with coaching, which I know John just talked about. You know, what is the reason for you stepping into coaching? What is your purpose in coaching? What value do you have? And I know I talk with so many coaches in our community that are, when they're in the program, and there's so much like, oh, I can't charge, I don't have anything to offer. And you do, even if you are, you know, you're halfway through your program and you're still learning and you're still flowing, you have that design the alliance, you have that conversation with your potential clients about that learning space, but also you're creating, the coaching space is such a sacred space, and that in and of itself, and your desire to serve and help a specific community or population it offers value right away. And understanding that your ability and your potential in coaching, I think, is really important, because I think I talk with a lot of coaches that just feel really hesitant and insecure initially, and I was there too, especially when it comes to charging clients. And so I think that's taking a step back, asking yourself those questions. But then the market analysis and research is something that I think is also incredibly valuable. And I don't think a lot of coaches do this, which I think empowers a coach as well to know what they can do, and maybe reach for more, or shift and see how they want to serve that community best with their coaching and their packages. When we are talking about market analysis, Raj, like what does that look like, or what have you done?
I mean, there's so much data out there these days. I mean, you literally can just type into Google and put, you know, how much should I be charging as a coach? There's all kinds of reports out there. There was this lengthy Harvard report. I mean, it's a bit of an old one. I think it was from 2013. Yet there was so much information and data in there on what coaches were charging organizations, how much. I mean, a lot of this is from the executive coaching world. So one of the things you've got to think about, there are trends and variations, isn't there, in terms of executive coaching tends to often bring a higher hourly rate than, and not always, but than wellness or academic could. Because I think if you're doing academic coaching, you're working with young people, the parents are paying. It's very different to if you're working with a VP of an organization who is on like seven-figure salary. So you've got to weigh up those things in terms of trends and themes in the coaching area of expertise that you're in, wellness or academic or executive coaching. But you can Google, there's so much data out there on hourly rates, and you'll hear all kinds of things that will vary from coaches starting out at, you know, $40, $50 an hour, right up to, we've used, you know, $300 an hour. And I guess it's really for you to think about those questions to ask yourself as well. Who are you targeting your coaching towards? You know, what are their average means in terms of what they would like to pay towards a coaching session? What are you looking to make? You know, how does this fit in with other work that you're doing or other areas of focus? Yeah, I do have a question for you, Ashley. Mm-hmm. How did you get comfortable starting to charge? What changed?
You know what? There was this, it was actually when I was doing the 2.0 class, and I was coached in the demo, and one of the coaches just asked this incredibly powerful question about how I want to show up for people. And then the follow-up question was like, what if you knew that you were that for people? And I, at this moment, I just like burst into tears. And I was like, you're right. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know. It was when that was that shift for myself when I was like, whoa, I am passionate about people. I love people. I care about them. And I want to offer this service to them. And it was, I think, that moment of like, there's value in this. And that was really the biggest shift for me. And I think it was just making a decision to put myself out there with prices. And then people were coming and hired me as a coach. And I remember being shocked initially, like, I thought I had to do this for free for people to want to work with me. And I think it was just kind of, even with some fear of putting myself out there, just doing it and saying, I know that this is valuable work. And I know that the care that I have for people is going to come through in these coaching sessions. And so it really was being coached myself around some limiting beliefs that I had, and a negative dialogue, inner dialogue about what I was capable of achieving. And you mentioned, living in abundance versus scarcity. And I think that's a really big deal too, when we are putting ourselves out there in that and getting back what we are putting out there, I think is a really big deal. And there are just so many people. There's one of the things we're kind of talking about is there's just so many different types of life coaches. And, there is a need for so many different people, and you might be that person for somebody. And if you let fear hold you back from putting yourself out there because you're worried about what judgment might be with cost, and you can change it too. That's something, an example of what you're talking about. You can try something. If it's not working, change it up. That's okay. Do something different. You don't have to put it into stone when you're first starting out. Do some trial and error. There's going to be a lot of trial and error and a lot of growth that takes place when you start your coaching business. And even, I'm sure, years down the road, there's going to be lots of learning continuously throughout. So might as well just try it. Go for it. Be that person for somebody. Somebody is waiting for you to step into your ability as a coach and welcome them into that space. So yeah, I think that was it for me, Raj, being coached.
I love that, Ashley. I think those are real powerful words, aren't they? For everyone to be thinking about, how do you step into your own power? How do you step more into that abundance? And I think what I'm hearing for you, the other thing to remember is we are offering a service out there when we're coaching. This isn't just a lovely chit chat over a cup of tea. You are there offering a service. You are supporting somebody with their goals. And I think it's just to remember also, what I found when I talk to coaches as well is there's a different kind of energy that comes when somebody does pay for a session. They have more skin in the game. Even if you charge them a small amount, $5, $10, $15, whatever it is, it changes that energetic interaction with the way even the individual shows up. So think about it. If you have done free coaching before and then you shifted to charging, really think about how the energy with the individual that you were working with changed, even in their commitment or how they were showing up.
Yeah, I love that, Raj. That's so good. Well, we're out of time. This is so fast. I think this is a great question to leave everybody with, though, for this next week is, how are you going to step into your power this week? And so, Raj, I love that you brought that. So we're going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for joining this live again today. Raj, you're incredible. Thank you for letting me be in this space with you. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. John may be back. We may have another guest on the live next week. I'm not sure, but we'll keep you posted. Be sure to send us those questions on social media or again at support@CoachTrainingEDU. And I hope everybody has a great week.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ashley. Bye.
Take care.